Marcel, where are you going with that disc? You are not putting that on again. Marcel, okay, if you press that button, you are in very, very big trouble.
Attention. Everybody stop what you're doing. It's time for The Unwritten Rule, a Mizzou sports podcast brought to you by the Believe Network, alongside Payton Haverman and Kenny Van Doren. Here is your host, Jack Knowlton.
Welcome back to The Unwritten Rule presented by FanDuel. Today is Monday, May 4th. May the 4th be with you, Kenny and Payton. Happy May 4th.
Oh, do you get it? Because it's Star Trek. It's not Star Wars. He did the Spock thing from Star Trek because it sounds like Star Wars, but it's not really Star Wars. Oh, man, what a genius.
Great start to the show. Today's Monday, May 4th, and Mizzou men's basketball has its fourth portal commit. The Tigers have secured the services of Mr. Kennard Davis Jr. out of BYU. He is a St. Louis native out of Vashon. Did I finally get it right?
We don't know that.
Sorry. St. Louis product out of Vashon High School. Thank you for correcting me.
I mean, we can ask him. We can try. Maybe DM him. Hey, Kennard, were you born in St. Louis?
In St. Louis. I guess we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
A St. Louis product out of Vashon coming back to his in-state program. He spent last year at BYU, played 2 seasons before that at Southern Illinois, and like I mentioned, is the fourth portal commit for Mizzou. They got 3 in the month of April. Jalen Carey from Tennessee, Jameer Jones from Providence, and Bryson Tiller from Kansas, and now Davis from BYU. That is 4 high major transfers that are going to be added to the fold for Dennis Gates. Davis is a guy we've talked about before. Last season at BYU, averaged 8.5 points per game, just over 2.5 rebounds, just under 1.5 assists, and just over a steal per game. He got those 8.5 points on 39.5, 32, and 75% shooting splits. The 3-point shooting is kind of the biggest talking point, it seems like, around him. But just in general, Payton, when you hear his name and then, now added to the names of these other 4, the hype feels like it keeps building for this Mizzou team next year. This is a really good portal class. And I'll actually ask you, because I didn't go and write down all the names myself. Does this now elevate it to the best portal class that Dennis Gates has gotten in his Mizzou tenure?
On paper, probably. We'll see in execution. I mean, because in one of them, he got Demoy Hodge and DeAndre Golston. Another one, he got Mark Mitchell. So we'll see. And Caleb Grill and John Tonje were in another, and that didn't even work out for Mizzou. But with Davis in particular, I mean, it's kind of the first time it feels like we're going to see like truly positionless basketball that we thought we were going to get immediately with Dennis Gates. Because, I mean, Dennis Gates was so concerned about making sure people knew where Kennard Davis was going to say. He put combo guard in his bat signal tweet. And, boy, he's a big combo guard. I know he's 6'5" on 3. Some other places have him listed at 6'6". His main attraction, as you said, is his ability to shoot the ball. He's pretty streaky, 34% three-point shooter. He was up and down at BYU. Most people seem to really adore his defensive ability, especially on the perimeter, so that should work well with him playing the guard spots. I'm intrigued by this pickup. We mentioned when he was first linked to Missouri that last year he was also linked to Mizzou, and it was a very weird recruitment, just very long-winded. It felt like did he even wind up visiting last year? It felt like it was rumored he'd visit forever, and he never did. They finally got him in this time, got him locked down. So yeah, I think on paper, this is probably the best transfer class Dennis has had. And it's going to set expectations pretty high. I mean, this was one of the last 2 things I think Missouri needed, was a guy that can just shoot the ball. And look, Davis isn't gonna come in and be a consistent like 3 for 6 every night, but he's gonna have games where he wins you ball games probably with his ability to get hot. So that's, I think, one major need down. Now the last thing we wait and see if Missouri locks down is a ball handler.
Kenny, I know you talked with his coach over there at Vashon, being an in-state product. What did he say about Davis and Mizzou getting a nice in-state player? I think was 9th in the state in his high school class.
Yeah, I spoke with Jimmy McKinney. Done that a couple times before, and Payton bringing up that that he was a target last year. I was trying to go back and find it in an old Friday file that I did have a quote from Jimmy McKinney at that time about Kennard Davis and what he would bring if he ended up going to Mizzou. And can't really find it right now, but if I do, I'll go back and give you the quote. But one of the big things that he pointed out this time around is that Kennard Davis is a winner. He won the state title 3 times at Vashon. He overlapped I think a year or two with Nicholas Randall, who's on the Missouri team right now. And Nick Randall didn't graduate from Vashon. He transferred to Compass Prep, which is a basketball program in Chandler, Arizona. Mizzou's been, familiar with Chandler with Compass Prep before. But with Kennard, he just always kind of played with a chip on his shoulder. He always had something to prove. Like you mentioned, Jack being ranked 9th in the state of Missouri, you're not going to get an offer from Mizzou. I mean, that's just unfortunate. That's just how it kind of works. That Mizzou is kind of playing with those top 3 most likely in the state. 2026 was a little bit of a deeper class for the Tigers to recruit, but going back to 2023, it just they weren't really going to go all the way down that list. And he didn't have an offer from Dennis Gates then, but the past 2 transfer portal cycles, Gates was interested, got him a guy. Even Mizzou reached out. The SID contacted reporters and said, make sure you list him as a combo guard. So we had it updated on his On3 profile as well. But all around, it was McKinney mentioned that, you just loved coaching Kennard. It was something that you just always wanted to take it to that next level. I don't know if that's a combination of maybe, feeling underrated at times or not getting the recognition, but I think this is the kind of guy you want in a transfer, someone who wants to continue to bounce back and kind of reach those numbers. And you go and look at what he was able to do in his sophomore year at Southern Illinois, career high 16 points per game. Same with rebounds, assists. He can average a couple of steals as well. And McKinney harped on that he thinks one of the more underrated parts of Kennard Davis's game is on defense. He thinks that's where he'll have his fingerprints all over the ball, making that impact. He might not be the first or second option on an offensive possession at times. He's going to do as much as he can on the defensive side as well.
I think you can do battle with yourself over and over on whether you want these guys that have these distinct, defined like specialist roles, and they do one thing really well, even if they don't do other things. And to go back to Payton's point, it feels like Dennis is going kind of in the opposite direction of that with guys like Davis, and I think Jameer Jones is the big other one where they have a lot of potential, a lot of upside on kind of multiple fronts. I mean, you look at his kind of steal percentage numbers for Davis, like you said, Kenny, like that, those have been pretty consistent, even if the 3-point shooting has been a little bit of a roller coaster for him. And that's going to bring a lot of exciting upside. I think I keep going back to Caleb Grill and how you can recreate him in the aggregate for Mizzou in terms of having a shooter. If you get a guy who maybe is not quite, Peyton's eyes perked up when I said recreate in the aggregate, which I did intentionally. I think if you look at, if you can do that, if it's, a guy who's not necessarily the high volume, high percentage level from one player that Caleb Grill was, but if you get 2 guys who have even more value on defense, you trade a little bit of that, I think, for that impact there. And, again, you can spin it all the way back to how can you take some pressure off of Jason Crow on that end when so much of your offense is going to probably end up running through him and what he can create. But he's a really intriguing player when you just kind of go back and dig through Davis. You guys talked about the defense. I was looking it up. BYU was obviously a really weird team last year. They were kind of trending to be one of the best teams in the country, and he started every single game for them. And then, of course, they lose Richie Saunders. And it's interesting. Davis, in the 21 games before Saunders got hurt, was at around 7 points per game. In the 10 games after, when he was, tasked to do a little bit more on offense, he rose to that level. He averaged almost 11 points in the post Saunders injury. He has some big time performances. Like Payton mentioned, I think he nailed it. He can win you a game. 16 points, made 4 threes against Texas Tech, 17 points on 13 shots, not super efficient, but that was against Iowa State, and BYU won that game. That was after a Saunders injury. 15 points, 5 made threes against Arizona, 7 made threes, 18 points against Miami, who, of course, we just saw Mizzou struggle to beat. So this is a guy who has a lot of really good experience last year playing against some of the best teams in the country and excelling against them. The other piece I'll throw in there with that is it's always nice when you can get the mid-major gem, right? You know, Dennis knew what to do with Demoy Hodge and DeAndre Golston, like Payton said. But to just add 4 high major transfers who have been trusted by other Power 4 head coaches and have made real impacts, I think is a serious win for Mizzou. I think it raises the floor for a lot of these players, Davis among them. And when you think about, okay, is he going to be more like sophomore SIU Davis or junior BYU Davis? I think it's going to be somewhere in the middle. And I think you can trust that because of what you saw at BYU, Payton.
I agree on all fronts there. I think another benefit with getting like the type of transfers they had is at times I think Dennis has tried to be a little too cute with some of the additions. Jesus Carolero is the one that always comes to mind to me. He was trying to have a guy fill an archetype that he'd never really shown he could fill. Just stuff like that. It's a gamble. Like sometimes it works. Like Golston was a bit of a gamble. He figured, yeah, this guy from Milwaukee, I'll have him come in and be my ISO player, and he'll do that at the high major level, no problem. And it worked. And then other times, like I said with Carolero, he's like, yeah, I want him to kind of play the 5 a little bit and be able to facilitate a lot more. Boy, did that not work. This is a class where I don't think you have to do a lot of gambling on those types of things. Everybody seems to have a particular thing they're pretty good at. Tiller is a bit more of an upside play, but I don't think they're bringing him in to like be a specific archetype even. Like I'm sure they'd love for him to kind of replicate some of what Mitchell did. But I bet you're going to see him play a good amount of the 5. I bet you're going to see him play rather different from Mitchell did. I think you're going to see a lot more 3-point shooting with Tiller than Mitchell, which some people may not like that, but I think that's what's going to happen. I kind of am for it because I think Tiller probably has a higher ceiling there. I think that's also the case with Davis. Davis is a guy that has things he clearly can do well. He can get hot and shoot teams out of games. He can defend really well. I was looking at his Torvik. He's a safe ball handler too. He does not turn the ball over very much. So I think that's something to keep in mind. I don't think his assist rate was very high either. Yeah, it wasn't, but he had a pretty damn good turnover rate. Only 10.2. So that's got a green box for those keeping score at home. So I like what they've done so far in the portal. It's guys that you aren't locking them into anything, but they are guys that have a lot of things they do well, and you're not forcing them to be something they're not per se.
You know who Mizzou is like when you talk about it like that, and I look at this roster that is now just stacking bigger guards and guys like Trent Pierce, and then Tiller is a little bit of a do-it-all. It sort of like is giving me vibes of like what the Knicks were trying to build when they, traded for like Mikal Bridges and added OG Anunoby. And they're just like, let's just get a bunch of like tall wings who can do a lot of stuff and we'll figure it out. I'm not saying those guys are as good as the New York Knicks. Mm-hmm. Now, if Mizzou beats Kansas by 60 in the border war game, that would be quite something. But I don't know. It just you can never go wrong to me to adding guys with builds like Davis and with skill sets like Tiller, especially again when you have the potential of Jason Crow to be, dare I say, Mizzou's version of Jalen Brunson, to bring it back to the Knicks thing.
And I even think like from that perspective of just the roster building, and maybe you guys can jump in as well, what your thoughts are. I think we're kind of going to like a year 1 or year 3 under Dennis Gates, where this could be a very deep rotation to begin with. I think, even to start the year, we're going to see a lot of guys playing in games. And very like intrigued to see, some of the freshmen behind Jason Crow. Like, how does, Tony Bryant and Aiden Chronister, and,
And
I
we
was
barely
thinking,
talked about poor Tony Bryant. Like,
yeah. And like you're expecting him to play and,
Right.
maybe not be a starter for, parts of the year. But even with Aiden Chronister, like the more that players are getting added, I was thinking, does he redshirt? I don't know if that falls into the conversation. But Gates even said, at the Zoo to You, and I don't know, he's going to say this no matter what to support his players. They recruited all 3 of those guys to play this year. And, even Aiden Chronister, who, could be, get some seasoning, get some weight under him as well as he gets ready for the college level. Could be another guy that adds some shooting as well for the Tigers when needed in certain ways. And he's, there's going to be guys ahead of him, especially just these transfers and more veterans in the class. But I think to start the year, you're going to see a pretty deep team. Maybe things tighten up over time, but there's a lot of guys on this team that can contribute.
Peyton, does Mizzou's starting lineup include Davis for you right now, or no?
I kind of don't think so. And that's not a bad thing. I bet you they probably have told Davis, like, there's a good chance he won't start. But that's going back to what Kenny said. It is going to be a team that has to play a lot of guys early, which I know drives some people mad. But I think it's probably good with this team. You got to kind of – we talked about how positionless basketball, like, has been what Gates has wanted to do, and this is probably the first team where it really, really feels like they're all in on that. They got Jameer Jones, who was playing the 4 last year. I think they're planning to probably play him at a lot of 2, which kind of flies in the face of what I said earlier about not forcing guys into something they're not. But I'm sure they're going to see if they're probably pretty confident he can step in and play some 2. But if it doesn't work, then there you get Kennard Davis in there. He can play the 2. You kick Jones back down to the 4 maybe. There's a lot of different ways you can play it. I don't think, just going back to the Chronister point in particular, I still think he could have a pretty valuable role if his shooting translates well. I still don't think it's a perfect team in terms of 3-point shooting. I'm very confident Pierce with Mizzou trying to bully teams down low and Jason Crow likely taking a lot of the attention. It's going to leave a lot of open looks on the wing for Pierce. Davis will be able to shoot, but I still think there's a few guys. Like, I'm not 100% confident Jones is going to be able to shoot it well from the 2 spot. I'm not 100% confident Taylor's going to make a huge leap shooting 3-pointers. So I think Chronister still has a role to play. I don't think he'll play much, mind you, but and there's still guys like Aaron Rowe, Nicholas Randall. I'm sure Rowe at this point in time, even with if and when Missouri gets another ball handler, I still kind of expect Crow to at least play a few minutes, at least early on, to see how ready he looks.
I like that, Peyton. Are you saying like from the sense of Rowe at the 1 and then Crow at the 2? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm sure Dennis Gates will try. I'm not even going to try and pretend to guess how Dennis Gates will mix it up with Crow and Rowe. But I'm positive that in those first few games of the year, at least, he's going to give Rowe a chance to run the point. And if Rowe looks good, that can only be a good thing for Mizzou. I'm sure they'll see if they can ease him into the rotation a bit.
They very much. Go ahead, Kenny.
Yeah, my last thought on that, just with rotations wise, and maybe this is just kind of the feel of it, watching these 2 guys play and the expectations of having them in that backcourt. I feel like, do you guys agree that, early on, we probably won't see Kennard Davis and Jameer Jones on the floor at the same time? It feels like that's just, if they're both going to be playing probably in that second guard spot, I just don't necessarily know if we'll see them on the floor at the same time.
Maybe not a lot, but there's totally lineups that exist where Davis can step in and play the 2 and Jones can be at the 4, or maybe Davis steps in at the 3 a bit while Jones is at the 2 or something like that. You can do a lot of different combos with this. maybe, like I said, not a lot probably, but I'm willing to bet there will be some lineups with both of them in it.
I'm going to go a step further. I think I'd be totally fine in a world where it's Jones, Pierce, and Davis out there with Jason Crow. I think that would be awesome. Again, I don't with what it seems like all of them bring. Of course, you have to see how it gels together, but I just think you can accomplish a lot of things on the floor with all three of those guys who are growing in sort of different ways and seem to all be pretty good workers on the defensive end, on the with rebounding. Some of them can shoot a little bit, as particularly Davis and Pierce. I wouldn't mind that at all. Again, I think too, when you talk about rotation bigs like a Carey, I think with him and Tiller, you are going to have to be careful with minutes there. They are going to they're going to be the ones in the foul trouble the most. Bigs often struggle with playing those deeper minutes that I think some of those wings and guards can get. So I don't know. I wouldn't even hate it if it's those three and you bring a guy like Carey off the bench. But the point of all that is to say, and you go back to guys like Aaron Rowe and Chronister and even Tony Bryant now, it feels on paper like Dennis has put this team in a position where whatever you get from those guys is just extra. You are not having to lean now on an Aaron Rowe breakout season. But if you get an Aaron Rowe breakout season, which is very much possible, fantastic. And your team is even deeper than you thought. If Aiden Chronister is just, a light version of what like Nick Hamenya was at Duke, perfect. So you have to, but you've put yourself in a spot with these transfers to not have to rely on an uncertainty or at least a less certainty than what you had with some of these guys. I have one more quick thing on Davis, because as you two both know, I love the Ken Pom comparisons, and this is just a thing with his 3-point shooting. Do you guys remember CJ Wilcher from Texas A&M? Does that name ring a bell?
How long ago was he there?
He was there in 2025, the last Wade Taylor season when they won a game in the NCAA tournament.
Mm-hmm.
He transferred from Nebraska, and it was interesting. He was one of the version of himself in 2023 was one of Davis's comps. That season, Wilcher was 31% from three, took 134 shots. The season after, he took 127 threes and he shot 39.4%. Went right back up. The year before that, he was at 40%. So it was sort of, like a blip. And I just, I'm throwing that in there because these things can happen. Davis in his 3 seasons has shown no problem with getting the high volume of threes. Last year, not as many went in as the first 2 seasons. You can always rebound, but I think it's good to see that he was still able to get his, even with the likes of Richie Saunders and, oh, by the way, AJ DiBonsa on his team. Oh, wait, was I just lagging?
No, you're good. Wow. Yeah.
I thought I heard an echo and I thought my thing was going away.
You're good.
With the likes of Richie Saunders and AJ DiBonsa on his team, I think he's able to put himself in a position to take a lot of threes, and he can go right back up to making a lot of threes. It's happened for, a guy he was compared to in the season after he had kind of a down year shooting. So I'm just throwing that out there too as a bonus.
AJ made fun of Kennard on Instagram. I don't know if you saw that. He said everyone's been using the same song. I couldn't tell what the song was. I use Instagram on my desktop, so I can't hear the music.
Right.
But he pointed some fun at him.
AJ DiBonsa maybe shows up at a Mizzou game
courtside, sitting with Drinkwitz.
Yeah,
could be
fun.
I'll put up just 2 tweets for those on the YouTube. Jack brought it up earlier, or I guess Payton did, about the combo guard. Yeah. So there was the edited tweet. Of course, he put out this after Kennard Davis committed just a regular bad signal, and then hit it with the combo guard in the edit. I do like that. I do like that Dennis is starting to do that. I think it's fun. Another quick one. This comes from Zachary Reynolds. Great get. Comes from winning and will be great for the program. This has to be one of the best transfer pickups this offseason. Do you guys know who Zachary Reynolds is before I tell everyone?
I don't think I do.
Tony Bryant's former head coach. So Zachary Reynolds was his head coach until January. He stepped down from his position, and then Tony Bryant transferred high schools for his final semester. But Zachary Reynolds, good guy. I mean, I've spoken to him once, and Tony Bryant always pointed out that Dennis Gates and Zachary Reynolds were almost like identical coaches in the sense of how much they cared for their players. So I think that's a pretty positive review from someone that, I mean, Mizzou trusts, and Tony Bryant, of course, trusts as well.
Good endorsement, no doubt about it. Payton mentioned the hype. I looked at the Rothstein 45 this morning. Mizzou is now 24th, so they are in or in abouts that top 25. I know fans have been giving other people a lot of grief for Mizzou not being in certain preseason rankings, which does make me chuckle.
What's he doing awake?
It's a good point. I don't know.
What's he doing?
I don't know. That would be a really fun gimmick because I think he puts them out every day or like every other day. Mm-hmm. And it would be funny if he just stopped for 30 days and then came back in June. Just didn't do anything. But he can't resist. I mean, he can't. No, he can't be away from Twitter for that long. So the hype is building for Mizzou on the men's basketball front. On the football front, Mizzou added another commitment. A offensive lineman out of Illinois. He was number 870 on the overall. The Rivals composite rankings. Now I'm forgetting.
Rivals industry ranking.
Thank you, industry. I couldn't remember the word. Luke Injaychock picked Mizzou, Illinois, Ohio State, Wisconsin, a couple Midwest Big Ten programs in for the Illinois product out of Nazareth Academy in LaGrange Park. Kenny, what do the people need to know about Mizzou's 9th commitment in the 2027 football class?
Yeah, a couple parts about this. He didn't get his offer from Missouri until mid to late January. Coach Drinkwitz took like a tour of Midwest schools. He went through St. Louis, Kansas City, went up to Chicago to see a couple guys. And on his way back down through Chicago and then back into the state of Missouri, he did stop at LaGrange Park out of the Chicago area and offered Nazareth Academy offensive lineman Luke Injaychock. And from there, I mean, it was just like got down in March for his visit. And everything just kept trickling the right way. Brandon Jones went to see him last Tuesday, the offensive line coach, and pretty much dominoes just kept falling in Missouri's direction. And, Ohio State being in that mix, and I don't really know how high he would have been on Ohio State's board. And maybe we'll get to see a little bit more of him, and he'll get a rankings update here soon when he goes to, the Under Armour camps. There should be one in Chicago coming up in May, sometime this month, and opportunity for him to boost that stock before his official visit later this month in that final weekend. So all around, I think this is a great pickup. If you guys want some fun facts about Luke as well, he's not an Army kid, Army brat, but he did move around a lot of his life. And this is the best part to say native. He is not a Chicago native.
Yeah, there you go. Definitely.
He was born in Indianapolis, so he's Indiana kid. He lived in Kobe, Japan for all of elementary school, going up to kindergarten. He moved back to the United States, lived in New Jersey, Indiana, and now they settled more in that Chicago land area, and that's where he played high school football. Very personable guy, according to his coach Tim Rackey at Nazareth Academy. He wanted to, he pointed out all these things where Luke came up a little bit more as a defensive line prospect. He plays at a pretty good high school for college football prospects, and starting more on that defensive side, but he was always the biggest kid, and they knew that he was going to be an offensive lineman of the future. They just wanted to get his feet wet, get him ready for the high school ranks. Once they moved him over there, he just became just a pivotal part of that offensive line, and he can get down in a chair. He has great footwork now. I mean, he's really used to his size, and has a lot of agility at 6'6", 285 pounds, and perfect kind of all around prospect that you can bring in and let him season and see where he fits on that interior in the future. And one thing that Tim Rackey really wanted to point out is that he's just a lovable guy, and he's not afraid to laugh at himself. His parents said that as well when I spoke to them, and should have that story here done soon. Up on Saturday, but really enjoyed this one, just all around kind of learning more about him. And just the fact that he lived like in Kobe, Japan, like that's not something he would ever bring up, but just learning that from his parents was really cool. He won a home run derby. I don't know if he won it, but they did say they always had him compete in the home run derby in Little League. And just all around 20. Do you guys know how long you were when you were born? Because his parents were just trying to explain that he's always been like the biggest kid, but he was 24 inches, which is like way above average. So he's just always been the biggest guy, and he fits that offensive line mold well as a person and as a player. And he said, he talks to Drinkwitz all the time. So this is a big drink get as well. Beyond the numbers and just where he ranks, they really, really like what they're getting in Luke Injaychock.
It's a fun story by the sound of it. And yeah, I was going to point to those measurables. 6'6", 285, still has a senior year left to play. So, hopefully Mizzou can, if he's a little bit more of a riser, can keep him committed. And looking forward to everyone go read that over on Mizzou today in Kobe, Japan. It's kind of like you, Payton, moved around a bunch of places.
Never Japan, though.
Never Japan.
Never got there.
You weren't that far. So there you go. Another addition on the football front. Luke Injaychock, 9 commits now in the 2027 class, slowly building. I'm excited to revisit this, Kenny, in the fall when some of these guys do get their senior years underway and you start to see these rankings bumps and so you get some hype. I know Braylon Warren at the Elite 11, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, he picked up an invite in, early March. Yeah,
okay.
Like late February, early March, whenever those camps started. He went to the opening in Indianapolis as well. And he got an invite early. I think it was definitely like early March, like whatever maybe last weekend in February, something around there. But yeah, he's a camp goer. Not in a bad way, but Braylon's always up for those competitions and kind of putting himself in that spotlight and just doing what he can to get better. And this is a perfect opportunity for him. It's funny to think like the first time I spoke to him was in a camp setting as well. He was just at the Navy All-American Bowl Combine in San Antonio, and he just keeps climbing that. And I think he's just kind of that perfect fit to do it. He's very accurate. Maybe it doesn't have like the quickest like release. I think that's something that was pointed out, but just all around, he has a lot of tools and continues to get better in a lot of these settings. And the national side, even though he's still ranked a 3-star, he was in the Rivals 250 at one point before the merger and the move over. He was ranked a 4-star. I mean, he gets a lot of positive and glowing reviews from scouts as well.
We'll see how he keeps developing. I'm never going to complain about a quarterback commit at the school we do a podcast for, going out to a lot of things and getting to see clips of him throwing. I will never not watch those. All right, there you go. Football and men's basketball updates. We will continue the show on the other side, or Kenny and I will. Everybody say congratulations to Payton. Yay, Payton. Graduated. Do you have anything you want to say, Payton?
No, not really. I don't know.
You and our good friend Zach Hernandez have the same amount of degrees now. You can never hold that over your head.
Take that, Zach.
How many degrees?
Payton's actually leaving for a UT Arlington podcast now that he's officially an alum.
Payton, you kind of have 2.5 if you think about it.
Technically 3 because I'm getting a certificate from UT Arlington as well.
Oh, there we go. We can go up to 3. Wow. You have more than our friend Zachary Hernandez.
Payton is smarter than us.
Yep.
So it took Zachary Hernandez 5 years to get 2 degrees. It took you 6 years to get 3. Wow. Man, I would hate to be Zach right now.
That's 1 every 2 years, Zach. Not 1 every 2.5.
That's how that works. Congrats, Payton.
Thank you.
We will finish the show on the other side with quick hits. Okay, quick hits time. I think I alluded to it. It's just Kenny and I to round up the show. Oh yeah, we definitely alluded to it because we congratulated Payton. Duh.
He's walking right now.
He's probably going across the stage.
You want me to do my best impression? I can do it.
Let's see it. Oh no. He's definitely a type of guy who would try to either like dap up the chancellor instead of shaking their hand,
or dab on them. That's so Payton.
Or like try to do a flip and wipe out.
It's so Ferda.
Yeah,
that's so Payton.
So Payton.
Yeah, I think someone probably banana peeled him. Threw one behind.
He's made a lot of enemies at UT Arlington, I hear, reportedly. So there should be someone taking some revenge. No, congrats to Payton. He's graduating right now. So we are wrapping up the show ourselves with the quick hits. And yeah, there's a peek behind the curtain. We record 2 days prior some segments and I forget things. Kenny, you have a Ken Sports Shorts, and I'm now very nervous because I forgot you said you are going to start doing more and more quizzes as opposed to the Daily Dozen. The Daily Dozen was going to be a good cop-out for me, and now I'm going to be on an island because I have no Payton to help me with the quiz you're about to give, and I'm probably going to look humiliated.
Yeah, this would have been a question that Payton got. I wouldn't say relatively quickly, but he would have gotten it as he thought about it. So it is baseball related, if that's your first hint. What American League franchise has won exactly 2 World Series titles in its history? One during the 1980s and the other during the 2010s.
80s and the 2010s. It's not. Is it? Because okay, I'm gonna just walk through my logic here instead of just spitting out a guess and maybe seeming dumb. I know there was an I-70 series, and I don't remember if the Royals won that one, but they did win a title in the 2010s, and I feel like they're like a two type of title ball club team. So that's gonna be my guess. Is it the Kansas City Royals?
It is the Kansas City Royals. You are right. I-70 series 1985. Cardinals over Royals, and then you go to 2010.
You mean Royals over Cardinals?
Yes, yeah. Royals over Cardinals, and then in the 2010s, it was in 2015, Royals over the Mets.
Yes, I remember that one. That one was a pretty big deal. Because they were really bad just the year prior, right? Or like 2 years prior?
Yeah, I mean the year before they were in the World Series too. They played the Giants, lost on
maybe that's what it was
that pop out in foul territory. Ooh. Yeah, that was a tough ending in 2014, but 2015 they sealed the deal. And I mean when the Royals are winning, their fans are some of the best in baseball. You see that really quickly, especially in All-Star voting. They will spam those ballots.
Yeah, I do remember that it being a pretty well run. So nice, good guy. I'm glad. All right, I'm glad I didn't embarrass myself. I think I made Payton proud. Hopefully, we'll continue with quick hits with Tigers in the Wild. Kenny, who is your Tiger in the Wild?
The Tiger in the Wild, I got 2 when I was at the Zoo to You, and I made sure not to mention this in Friday's show. I saw 2 Tigers in the Wild, 2 former Missouri Tigers. The one I'm showing you on the screen for the YouTube viewers, Drake Heismeyer, former backup Missouri center from Francis Howell. I saw him at the Zoo to You tour. And did you want to guess the other one that I saw? Because I decided not to put him up here. A special teamer.
Assume it was someone from St. Louis too. Blake Craig?
Special teamer Blake Craig is from Kansas City. He was a punter.
Stonehouse?
No, he's Stonehouse from California. It was Luke Bauer. I've seen him and Drake Heismeyer at games together too. They brought him on the field once, so they were walking around at least pre-game one of the games this past year. 2 guys that still bleed black and gold. And Luke Bauer did transfer to Michigan. He ended up retiring before the season started.
I would love some sort of collab, like in the future, you get, something with all the St. Louis guys or the in-state guys, maybe to do. I always like seeing, I saw Chase Daniel narrating something recently, have some of those, former alums narrate stuff, or even if they do it together, the maybe, not to say fair weather Mizzou fan, but maybe the more casual Mizzou fan might not know who they are. But if you can figure out a way to kind of promote them, promote the, the homegrown guys, it's always kind of fun. So.
Both of them had, they had their moments too for the team. Drake Heismeyer, provided great center depth, and he was a good starter at the end of his college career in 2024. And everyone knows what Luke Bauer brought to the team as well. And everyone's going to remember that touchdown pass, a fake punt against Kentucky.
That was crazy. Maybe Marquise Johnson's best moment in Mizzou uniform too. Probably. So much potential. Payton's Tiger in the Wild is a new women's basketball transfer addition. Tanyuel Welch from Arizona is the latest addition for Kelly Harper and company. She comes over there, redshirt junior. She redshirted due to injury. One of her years actually at Memphis, where she played the first 2 years of her career. Spent last season at Arizona, 28 games, 19 starts, played about 25 minutes a night, 8.7 points, about 5 rebounds, 1.5 or just under 1.5 assists and a steal per game. Shooting splits for the scoring, 46 from the field. 3-point shooting did drop. She was 45.3 in her last season at Memphis, 26.7 last year. So maybe similar to Kennard Davis on the men's side, something to raise up maybe for Welch. 71% free throw shooter. So another kind of more veteran addition for Mizzou in the portal. They obviously, have had a few commits so far. Mackenzie Matherin, Nevaeh Caffey, and I believe that's it for the transfers. And then they have a good amount of freshmen, of course, coming in as well. So good addition for Mizzou women's basketball. Tanyuel Welch. I'm excited. We definitely, when we get to the fall, I do want to do a true. I think everyone was kind of good. You sort of wrote off whatever Kelly Harper could accomplish in year one was probably, if it was anything super successful, it was going to be, sort of house money kind of situation. But I think now that she's really building her team, feels like putting a stamp on it. I'm excited to kind of preview this team, see where they can maybe rank in the SEC next year and start to compete a little bit in year two, Kenny.
Yeah. There's a couple things that came up too, just in Kelly Harper's time that she had at the ZooDU tour. So I don't think we even spoke about it, what she shared. She said, someone asked her about the 5 for 5, if players will receive another year of eligibility if they haven't already redshirted, and if they're grandfathered into it where they get that extra year. She was like, there are some players that I would like to bring back. She wouldn't, of course, she's not going to name them, but we'd have to imagine Grace Slaughter would be up there as someone that you'd want for another 5th year. Would be incredible for that women's program. She mentioned it as well as Rika Toman. I believe she's from Hungary. Am I right on that?
I'll have to check.
Yeah, I believe she's from Hungary. She is playing for her national team this summer as well. So that's a big plus too in her development. She's mentioned, I asked about Avery Kroenke. That was my one question I got for her. And I was like, do you anticipate her to be ready by the start of the year? And they said, she said they're expecting it to happen. She said if she could tell Avery that she's playing tomorrow, Avery would play tomorrow. I think she's just very excited to get back on the floor. She's, had a very up and down college career of staying on the court. So this would be a big opportunity for her to come back, be healthy at the start of the year. And I think a lot of the women's basketball followers and fans that had known Avery for a long time, just going back to her years and dominance that she had at Rockbridge down there in South Providence. And I think everyone's just kind of looking forward to seeing her back. And I believe Sydney Maines missed the entire year. Yeah, with an injury as well. She was not brought up in the interview or in the ZooDU tour.
Yeah. Kroenke, I remember that was a big deal, kind of commitment to be able to keep her around and have a really talented homegrown player. Rockbridge has obviously been a very good pipeline for Mizzou. Budapest, Hungary. Kenny, you were correct for Rika Toman. Yeah, that's exciting. The men's side, you haven't had a lot of international players under Dennis, but it is kind of cool when you have that sort of crossover. They can go play, for their national teams if they're not from the US and go kind of experience that. Get better. I mean, the FIBA game and the international rules, it tests you a little bit different. So that'd be cool. But yeah. And the other note I should say, should have kind of emphasized as well with Welch, the experience piece. I mean, in terms of the transfers, Caffey, a freshman, Matherin, a freshman as well from Indiana and Michigan. So get a little bit older of a player in there, as Mizzou's third transfer edition. So exciting stuff for Kelly Harper and co. Do you have another note?
No, I'll bring it up again. 13 of the 15 roster spots filled so far for the women.
2 more. So that's the same amount for both left, right? I think
there's
2 for
same amount.
2 for the men, 2 for the women. Still left to be filled. My Tiger in the wild. Oh, go ahead.
I'll say 2 as well. I'm not as tuned in on the women's side. My job's just men's basketball and football. I would maybe anticipate all 15 get filled, especially when you have 2 players coming back from serious injuries.
The injuries, yeah.
Especially with one of your guards, your ball handlers, and Avery Kroenke. I would not be surprised if both spots at least get filled at some point.
Yeah, okay. That would make sense. When you have those injuries lingering into the year, the men's team didn't. Only guy that would probably been Javon Porter, and that's not happening. Tiger in the Wild, bobbleheads. Bobbleheads are back, Kenny. Everyone loves a bobblehead come baseball season. And Mizzou softball and Mizzou baseball are giving them away. Mizzou softball already did give theirs away. Their game was on May 1st. That I think first game against Tennessee. Second game against Tennessee, which we'll get to. But the baseball team, May 9th, 4 p.m., their game. You can get a Truman bobblehead. I love bobblehead season. I would have loved one of these, on my desk. You know what? I've got one. It's not Mizzou, but Good old CC. He's made appearances on the show.
He's a Yankee.
Not
a Brewer. Going back, one quick thing on the injuries that you talked about on the basketball side. Mizzou will have one going into the year in our Boateng.
Oh, true. I forgot about him.
And then I guess, the past couple of years, it's been the questions about Trent Burns, and then you weren't expecting Trent Pierce to be hurt. I mean, it happens too on the men's basketball side, but the men's basketball team I think it's just a little bit of a different situation right now than the women's. Yeah, you have two probably people you're expecting to be contributors as well, coming off injuries as well, especially when it was like the entire season.
I don't want to start speculating about the inevitable ghost injuries that just seem to always occur. No one wants to say it, but it's happened multiple seasons under Dennis. So anyway, headlines. What is yours?
News dump Friday for Missouri Athletics. Mizzou announced a contract extension for director of athletics, Laird Veatch. Got 3 extra years tacked on to his contract. It kind of is funny that it comes right after the ZDU, so he doesn't talk about it then, but he does get 3 more years. So I think, Mizzou's in a spot where there's still a lot of changes happening from the sense of, ticket prices are always constantly changing. The football stadium is looking for a sponsor. Maybe that stretches to Mizzou Arena here soon once they get the football one figured out. Just the entire, college landscape changing with tennis being knocked off, some golf teams and, some of these non-revenue sports. And Laird Veatch comes out and says that's not something on the table right now for Mizzou. Mizzou's keeping all of it. I think Mizzou's still trending in the right direction under Laird Veatch. I think he put it well that, that there's some parts that they were very proud of this past year, but they're not where they want to be. They want to continue to start making a lot more of these sports competitive in the SEC and keeping, winning streaks alive and winning ways. And you've seen that with football. You want to see Dennis Gates take it to that second weekend. I think for a lot of, I don't have much to compare to with presidents, but I think Moon Choi is very tuned in with the sports department and the athletics department. And I think he's, probably making the right calls, with this push for an extension for Laird Veatch.
I sort of see it this way a lot of the times with athletic directors, where if you're not hearing their name, often, sometimes I feel like that's usually more of a good thing than a bad thing. And I feel like Laird Veatch has not upset the apple cart, so to speak, and tossed and turned things and disrupted good things going for a lot of these programs. I really like what he said, about some of the non-rev sports and the scary future with that in general with college athletics, that he wants to keep, those going at Mizzou. And, really we talk about these in quick hits a lot. Like there are a lot of good sports at Mizzou that can elevate this program or the athletics program as a whole. And so, not surprising. I wonder, I mean, and it's a good thing. It doesn't feel necessarily like we're heading toward a big, that's always where you judge athletic directors, right? Is their big first kind of coach hire. And of course he brought Kelly Harper in. But other than that having already happened, it doesn't feel like we're heading for another one. So that's always good.
Yeah, especially just with basketball. I'll ask you this now. I think it's a perfect one to ask, and I wish I'd asked it with Payton on here. As a fan, Jack, how much has Dennis Gates won you back this offseason?
I was never really lost with Dennis Gates. I really never felt, I get it. I think there is reasons to be frustrated. I'm not going to knock people for being upset. I was upset that, he couldn't get things done in essentially a home NCAA tournament game. He's had very favorable chances to do that. And there are some worrisome things, but to me, he has raised the floor of where the program was before he got there. He has made it a better program than it was before he got there. But that said, again, that also raises the expectations. So, if there was a winning me back, he's definitely done it significantly for a large chunk of the fan base with this transfer portal haul. But again, it will go right back down if the season goes sideways, and certainly if it ends in the way that the last 2 years end. I'm not trying to excuse those per se, but I don't know. And I will also totally acknowledge, I really want Dennis Gates to succeed. He's a very good representative of a person you want to be your school's college basketball coach. Like, he does a really good job. He's a great person, clearly a well-respected leader of men, to use that phrase. So, I acknowledge that too, but yeah, I think he's won a ton of the fan base back.
I think, maybe this goes unsaid a little bit too, but last thing I have on that, I think Conzo Martin was very well liked coach too, off the court, totally. And it just didn't really work out, just with his tenure at Missouri. And he was very different from Dennis Gates, I think too. I think from a personality standpoint and just, hearing them talk and the way they kind of directed their programs, but still very well likable coaches. And that's two different, athletic directors that hired both of them. So I think Mizzou's made a good point in that facet.
They hire good characters.
Good characters. Like. Now it's just, a matter of Dennis Gates taking it to that next level.
Yeah, no, Conzo, even in my short time, and again, all three of us have said this before, we did not grow up in Missouri. We went to the school and have thus been affiliated with it. But even in my short time, getting really into Missouri men's basketball, like, I saw who Conzo Martin was, and that was a very big bummer that it just didn't add up. But when you're in the business of Power 5 coaching and when you're paid what Power 5 coaches are, you have to produce results. And Dennis, without a doubt, has to do that this year. Without question, with how good this roster is on paper. Payton's headline that he definitely chose himself comes from ESPN, and it's just ESPN.com as the byline. Savannah Bananas play in front of 102,000 fans. This phenomenon is always intriguing. Their phenomenon is intriguing to me. Kenny, you've never seen the Savannah Bananas in person, have you? I don't think you have any interest in it.
No, I have. I remember there was a Mizzou burner who posted a photo of his mom asking, and he kind of ragged on him. And I felt bad. If my mom asked me to go, I would go, but I'm never going to go out of my way to see the Savannah Bananas.
Well, 102,000 people did. They were in Aggie Land. And I did see this video that's in the linked in the article a little bit down below of just how many people were there outside of the ground beforehand. And it worked. This little, I guess they're this generation's Harlem Globetrotters. Is that the best way to really compare them? People would older people.
I think it's bigger than the Harlem Globetrotters at this point. Yeah. I remember going to Harlem Globetrotters games and those arenas were not sold out. I remember they would take us in the summer, at summer camps.
To games.
Yeah. I remember sitting on the courtside for $40. I think this is just incredible, spectacles that they're putting together here.
It's pretty wild. And it is, there's places for these things. I don't think we're sports nuts. I think people like us are not as into this because we just,
it's for a certain crowd.
Yeah.
And we're not that crowd. I think you could say that about all sports. You can say it about the Olympics. I think there's people who get more riled up about the Olympics that don't care about the NBA or care about the NFL or MLB. And this is just that avenue and is growing pretty quickly. I think just because we're older too, it's not something we're really interested in.
And you know what? These people might be living life right because, I woke up this morning at 9 a.m. to watch my soccer team lose and was just mad the rest of the day. You can just go to this and have some beers and some hot dogs and have a great time. Kick back.
Is this one of those teams where they always win too? The Savannah Bananas will always win, or is that not how it works? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't remember.
They lost to the tailgate.
Okay.
4-3. So there you go.
I remember the Generals really never beat the Globetrotters.
Yeah. Dude Perfect was there. That's pretty cool. They're A&M guys. It's kind of a fun addition. I know Payton loved them at the Masters, so he probably would appreciate me shouting them out.
Yeah.
So there you go. My headline this week comes from Kyle over at Mizzou Today. Mizzou softball takes much needed win against Tennessee to go 1-2 in the series. They didn't win the series, but they did knock off the Volunteers. First time since 2021 that Missouri has beaten Tennessee in softball. And yeah, it's a big time win. I was talking to Payton about it. And you probably are talking now, one win in the SEC tournament could hopefully get you in. We'll see. I don't want to pretend to be a softball bracketologist, but they are 28-28 now. They finished 500 in the regular season. were able to beat off Tennessee. I believe they went down 2-0 in this game and were able to come back and erase that deficit and win. So regular season's done. They got the 11 seed in the SEC tournament, so they will be playing on Tuesday. Very obviously like basketball. You've got Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, semifinals in the championship. Mizzou's path, they play Auburn, the 14 seed, in game number 1. If they win that, they will play 6 seed Texas A&M and then 3 seed Florida. And then if the seeds hold, they'd play 2 seed Alabama in the semifinal. So that's if they go on a run. Definitely need at least that first win, but good to see them knocking off Tennessee. Kenny.
Yeah. Only thing I'll add is that win on Saturday was the first win against Tennessee since 2021. Number 5 Tennessee too.
Yeah. Big time stuff for Mizzou. Cut the lead down with Abby Hayes' 100th career hit. There you go. Home run. We'll see how it goes for bracketology if they can get in to the field. It's so much better. The start of the summer is so much better when Mizzou softball could sneak into the NCAA tournament. Some of those series, as soul crushing as that JMU one was a couple of years ago, watching them play Duke was a lot of fun. Seeing them get to host, just to start to work your way back up to that, to see them play is better. So hopefully they can sneak in. That's it.
No, it's not. This one comes from our favorite TV show, TV series, the TV series, the Today Show.
There you go.
From Sarah Lemire. Where do fingers grow?
Where do fingers grow? Something with hand.
Close.
Hand, arm. I don't know. Where do they grow?
On palm trees.
Palm trees. There it is.
Yep.
Good one. I did not come up with a 2019 Washington National of the Week, so I think you get
Juan Soto. We'll go Juan Soto. Let's get out of here. Juan Soto. Let's get out of here. Easy one.
Let's get out of here. He got out of there a lot. As in got a lot of balls out of the park in that World Series. That'll do it. Thank you for everyone for watching and listening. We will be back with some more happenings on Friday. We'll have probably the result of Mizzou's softball series, so we'll have an update on that. I'm sure some more men's basketball things. Maybe another random person will get an extension. We could talk about that as well. I don't know anything there. Don't quote me on that. Maybe we're giving an extension to Kenny as our in-house producer. TBD. Have to have a meeting. Thank you everyone for watching and listening. Go subscribe on the YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're watching. We will see you all next time.